Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarvavide Namaha. The Ekadeshi is making arguments one after the other as to how there should be prasankhyanam, that the Mahavakya such as Tattvamasi on its own is not capable of giving or creating the aparokshanubhuti, that it requires in some way the help of this prasankhyanam, meaning that of mananam. So we need to repeat that vakya and also use the reasoning, yukti, in order for that aproksha jnana to take place. Vedanta says that aparoksha jnanam takes place through shravanam, and mananam and nididhyasanam are required to make that knowledge abiding, to remove the obstacles. So three kinds of obstacles are recognized. One is avaranam, samshaya and viparya. So that Mahavakya is capable of removing avaranam, capable of removing the ignorance. Because then alone it can be called pramanam. Pramanam, pramakaranam, pramanam. That which is the means of prama, or the true knowledge, yathartha jnanam. And abhaditam, anadigatam, the knowledge which is not subject to negation by any other pramanam. Anadigatam, it gives knowledge of something which was not there before by any other pramanam. So that is called pramanam here, which gives knowledge which cannot be gained by any other pramanam, and knowledge that cannot be negated by any other pramanam. So that is what Mahavakya is. Upanishad means Mahavakya. So Shabda Pramanam or Vakya Pramanam, just as eyes are capable of independently revealing the nature of colors and forms, and you don't need to do anything after the eyes have contact with the color and form, the object, knowledge takes place. And no further, nothing further is required. It is true that you may need to open your eyes, of course. Direct your eyes to where the object is. And perhaps also do what is necessary to remove some defect if there is in the eyes. Then alone eyes become pramanam, there is free from any defect or dosha, nirdosham. But then you don't require, that is called pramanam, which does not require help of anything else to create the knowledge. So this is the point here, that Mahavakya is pramanam. It is true that you will need to remove the doshas from the mind, ragadvesha, the impurities. You need to make the mind inward looking, focused upon the self, that also is required. So antahkarana shuddhi, antahkarana ekagram is required. But that is all preparation for knowledge to take place. When the mind is ready, with the requirement, with right samskaras, a word or a statement, for it to create knowledge, the listener must have a mind which is prepared. We said it a number of times. Even these statements that are being made right now will create the knowledge in you, provided the listener has the right samskaras of the language, of the subject matter, that the mind is focused. So that is the requirement on the part of the listener. That if the knowledge does not take place in the listener, it is not because the Vakya is incapable of producing knowledge, but that there is some obstacle in the mind of the listener, that is why the Vakya does not produce it. And therefore, to remove the impurities in the mind is a requirement, that right samskaras are required, that the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, that thou art, is in itself capable of creating a knowledge. So this is the basic point here. That Ekadeshi says that Mahavakya in itself cannot produce aparoksha jnanam. You require something over and above that called prasankhyanam, which may be equal to manam. But some process over and above the shravanam, which is repeating that vakya, revolving that vakya, aham brahmasmi, in your mind, and using reasoning in order that that vakya produces the right knowledge. Here we say that the Mahavakya itself is capable of negating the anatma or the yushmat artha, which is the reason why the Mahavakya is required in the first place. That I know I am, and I think that I am a Jivatma, and therefore need to be told that you are Brahman. As I said earlier, Brahman is, I know it is limitless but paroksham. I know I am aparoksha but limited. There's two kinds of notions obtained in our mind, and those notions are. So therefore, not only listening to Mahavakya, Shravanam also involves, this means vichara. Shravanam does not mean just listening, it means vichara. Deliberating upon the tatparya, the purport of Mahavakya, which the teacher helps the student do. That vichara should take place in the mind of the student. And the teacher's unfoldment helps that process to take place in the mind of the student. So vichara takes place in the mind of the student, as a result of which the knowledge takes place. The Purvapakshi's main point here that something can happen only when there is vidhi or injunction as part of the Veda. That's the principle of karma kanda. That if you perform a karma such as Agnihotra, it will produce the knowledge only when there is an injunction on the part of. So you are performing Agnihotra in response to the command of the Veda. Simply by knowing Agnihotra and performing also will not yield the result. It is the vidhi or injunction on the part of the Veda that creates the result. So this is their thinking. Well, this is true as far as karma kanda is concerned. This is what they say. So, Swarga Kamaha Jyotishtvena Yajeta. One desire of Swarga should perform the Jyotishtoma karma, Agnishtoma karma. So that vidhi gives the capability of that karma to produce result. Most amazing. Not just karma of Agnishtoma, but then that karma perform in response to vidhi. So then there is a certain disposition in my mind that I am doing this in response to what the Veda commands me to do. It is vidhi that produces result, not just karma. Therefore, the knowledge to take place, some vidhi must be there, then only knowledge can take place. This is the idea there. And so, even though Tattvamasi, that Mahavakya, does not have any verb of so ling, lord, tavya, no such pratyayas are there to make it a vidhi. Purvapakshi says you must imagine a vidhi, because without vidhi things cannot take place. Niyoga apratipannatvat karmanam se yatha bhavet aviruddho bhavet tavat yavat samvedita adhuda. So yatha karmanam niyoga yatha bhavet. Niyoga or injunction or vidhi for karma, just as it plays a role in creating result, so also yavat samvedyata adrudha. As long as knowledge has not become firm, so long the karma has a scope. What is karma? Prasankhyanam, that karma has a scope. Yavat samvedita brahmatmaikada adruda drudha na pratiyate. Tavat niyoga aviruddho bhavet. So long niyoga has the scope. If Brahmatmaikya jnanam takes place without niyoga, without vidhi, swachanda, swechhavan, meaning that, what is swachanda means that one who is not controlled by the Vedas, that's swachanda, meaning that you are performing an action without the injunction of the Veda. On your own you are doing Satyam, you are doing something on your own, not because you are commanded by the Veda. If thus a person can gain knowledge without the command of the Veda, then cheshtitam cha yatho mithya tada yamanyamadikam anushthyamana mithya syad. So this amanitvam, adambitvam is not only required for preparation but also required along with the knowledge. And so that the sannyasi also is asked to follow yama niyamadi, meaning that is what creates knowledge. Then if knowledge can take place without the need of injunction, independent of the injunction, knowledge can take place, then this yama niyamadi or samadhi satka sampati enjoined will have no meaning. Cheshtitam chetho mitya. Cheshtitam anushtitam yamadi. So you also require samadhi satka sampatti for as preparation for knowledge. But if you can gain knowledge independently, then you don't need that preparation also. That preparation also becomes meaningless. Therefore, he goes on his own way of thinking that it is vidhi that produces a result and nothing else. For any result to be produced, vidhi is required. So, aparoksha jnana also is a result and requires vidhi. Vedanta says is not a result. That's the difference basically. Aparoksha jnanam is not creating something new. When you perform karma, some apurva, something new is created there. And vidhi alone can do that, let us say. But this is it. So they assume that that's all that's applicable in every case. So for aparoksha jnanam also to be created, no result can be created unless vidhi is involved in performing the karma. So that's the whole idea behind the argument there. Itopi, for further reason also, sadasmiti cha vijnanam akshajo bhatate dhruvam. That the vijnanam that sadasmi aham sat or aham brahma, akshajaha samskaraha bhadate dhruvam. Because there are habitual error. Samskara here is the vasana or habitual habit. Habit of taking the world to be real. Habit of taking the body to be Atma. And that is supposedly from the time beginningless, therefore, that is the strongest or the deepest, most deep-rooted samskara. Nisargikoyam loka vyavahara aham mameti. Bhashyakara says in the Adhyas Bhashya that this aham mama, I and mine, that's the expression that we use, is nisargika, meaning that it is effortless. By default, we are born with that. Nisargika means beginningless. So that samskara is so deep that even after knowledge has taken place, that samskara will overwhelm this knowledge aham brahmasmi. And so prasankhyanam is required for that also. Dosha nivruttaye. Doshaischa akrishyate bahihi. First of all, strong samskara of the Atma-buddhi, and second, strong samskara of the attachment or sense pleasures, seeking pleasure from them. So two samskaras are mentioned here. Two kinds of vasanas are mentioned. One is dehata buddhi, taking deha to the body, atma. And secondly, looking upon the objects of the world as source of happiness, which is what drags the mind extrovert. So this will happen, therefore also prasankhyanam is required. Ataha prasankhyanam dosha nivrutte cha karyam. And Shabda only can create paroksha jnanam. Coming back. As we discussed yesterday, it is true as far as Vyavahara is concerned. When it comes to knowing something other than myself, Shabda can only create paroksha jnanam. Like knowing fire. So word fire can only create a general idea, a samanya jnana about fire. Or the linga, evidence called the smoke, also can create inference of fire. That also is a general idea of fire. What the specific fire is, I would not know unless I see it. So pratyaksha creates what? Vishesha jnana. Fireness has fireness, plus there is a certain form also. like in flame, etc. So that Visheshata of fire can only be revealed by the eyes or by perception. So, Shabda, Shruta, Anumanajan. Shruta means the word here, fire. Anumana, the inference that comes from seeing the smoke. Samanya Vishayo Yataha, they only give Paroksha Jnanam, general idea what the fire is. प्रत्ययावक्षजो वश्यम विशेषार्थो निवारयेत. प्रत्ययो अक्षजः अवश्यम विशेषार्थ अवश्यम निवारयेत. So you listen to Shabda. You are Brahma. So that sentence, I am Brahma, creates in me a general idea. Because Shabda can only produce Paroksha Jnanam. So I have an idea of that I am Brahma, etc., etc. But then you need the Paroksha also. So, but the Paroksha of Dehata Buddhi and Jagat Satyata will only overwhelm the Samanya Jnanam. The Paroksha Jnanam cannot stand against the Aparoksha Jnanam. Akshajaha, the knowledge of perception created by sense organs is Vishesha Jnanam, specific knowledge, clear knowledge, and that will overwhelm the Samanya Jnanam, the general idea of Brahman that is created, the general idea that I am Brahman, overwhelmed by I am Jivatma. The idea that world is mithya, overwhelmed by the perception world is real. Therefore, even as you claim knowledge takes place by Vakya, that knowledge is of the nature that it will be overwhelmed by the perception created by sense organs. Now continuing with the verse 6:15. यदि वाक्यार्थ ज्ञानमात्रात् कृतकृत्यता कस्यचित् दृश्येत. If you found somebody who is kritakritya by Shravana, by listening to Vakya, is gained etat buddha buddhiman syat kritakrityasya bharata. This knowledge gives you fulfillment completely. If you say that by Shravanam, Mahavakya itself is creating Aparoksha Jnanam, then Mahavakya is capable of giving Kritakrityada, total sense of fulfillment. You don't need to do anything else to gain fulfillment. But we don't see anybody like that. Kasyajit drishyeta. You find somebody gaining Kritakrityata by listening to Mahavakya, then what you say is right. Sada prasankhyan kalpanam anarthakam syat. See, prasankhyan kalpanam, there is no prasankyanam, there is no vidhi or this repetition that is enjoined by the Vedas, by the Vakya. Prasankhyan is purely a kalpana. So without vidhis nothing can happen. And that Vakya is not capable of giving you that firm knowledge. Therefore, that Vakya should be accompanied with some karma. In this case, karma is prasankhyanam, revolving that statement in the mind along with the reasoning, then alone knowledge will become, first knowledge will take place until it becomes firm. We haven't seen anybody gaining fulfillment by listening to Mahavakya. Nadu tatha kaschit drishyate. We are saying that you are imagining this vidhi which is not there. But then you have to imagine, because without that, if the Vakya was capable of giving you fulfillment, then it's fine. Vakya is never seen. Never seen anybody who is listening to Mahavakya and gain fulfillment. Atah prasankyanam avashyakamedi. That's the reason also prasankyanam, that karma is necessary. So the verse 15 says, Vakyartha pratyayi kaschita nirdukho nopalabhyate yadi va drishyate kaschita vakyartha shruti matratah nirdukho tita deheshu krita bhavo nimiyate charyano shastra samvedya syadanishtam tatha sati. Vakyartha pratyayi. Vakya means Mahavakya. Vakyartha pratyayi. So one pratyayi, pratyaya yasya asti, one in whom pratyaya is created. This knowledge is created. This ascertainment is created, conviction that I am Brahman. So Vakyartha pratyayi kaschita. Every Vakya will create a pratyaya, depending upon the mind of the listener. So Mahavakya will create certainly some pratyaya in the listener. But we have never seen anybody who, as a result of the pratyaya arising from Mahavakya, that itself, removes dukkha. We have never seen nirdukho nopalabhyate. Because according to them, this Vakya can only create paroksha jnanam, and by paroksha jnanam you can't become free from dukkha. We have never seen anybody free from dukkha just by listening to Vakya. But then Tika says, Tadhai tat pashyan rishir vamadeva pratipede. Comes from Uttharanyaka Upanishad, which quotes from the Rigveda Sutra. Vamadeva Sukta is there. And that first line is quoted, the whole Sukta. Tadhai tat pashyan rishir vamadeva pratipede. Tad etat pashyan, pashyan while seeing, so that is the present, participle. Vamadeva while seeing, pratipede, he saw, he came to know, and he said, Aham manurabhavam, Suryaschaiti, I was Manu, I was Surya, I was self of all, I am self of all. So apparently, sage Vamadeva gained the knowledge simply by listening to Mahavakya. Tad dhasya vijajñau from Chandogya for Shvetaketu. Sa atma tattvamasi Shvetaketu iti tad dhasya vijajñau. After in the ninth time. When the same Vakya tattvamasi was told ninth time, that is when Shvetaketu tad dhasya vijajñau, then Shvetaketu knew. So Shvetaketu also is an example of someone who gained the knowledge by listening. So, yadi va dushyate kaschit, if someone like Vamadeva, Shvetaketu are seen to gain knowledge or nirdukhatvam, freedom from simply listening to Mahavakya, there are exceptions, not rule. Vakyartha shruti matratah. Simply by the Shruti Shravanam, that Vakyartha, he gains the meaning of the Vakya. Nirdukho dushyate. So, gaining the meaning of the Vakya simply by listening to teacher, we don't find anybody free from dukkha. We will say, look at the case of Vamadeva, look at the case of Shvetaketu. There are exceptions. Nirdukha. Suppose you find Shvetaketu free or Nachiketa free. then atita deheshu krutabhava anumiyate, then we can infer that he has done this prasankhya in the previous birth. Vakyat jnanamatra Vamadeva adhikrutika dushyati che. So we said that we see that Vamadeva and Hetuketu were kritakritya by Vakyat only jnanam. Then if this is so, dushyate nirdukkhah. So then atita deheshu krutabhava anumiyate. So Tika then continues, Vakyata shravanamatrat kasit yadi nirdukho dushyate, 16th verse. If some rare individual such as Vamadeva, such as Shvetaketu are found to gain fulfillment by Shravanam, by the artha knowledge that takes place by Shravanam, listening to the teacher, where do you see? Drishyate, where? Shruti Puranadau. In Purana also there are who is that Vakya? The king in Bhagavatam also, who gained Khatvanga. In 2 minutes he got knowledge, apparently. So King Janaka also is said to be such, that even he was climbing, mounting his horse, and he put one foot here, and then he got realized. So Shruti Puranadau, in Shruti, Vamadeva, Shvetaketu, Purana, Khatvanga and others, if nirdukho dushyate, if you find that they have become free and kritakritya, atira dehesu krutabhava, in the previous birth they must have krutabhava, anushyada prasankhyaну anumiyate. That bhavana they must have done, aham brahmasmi. So prasankhyanam they must have done in the previous birth. This is what we can infer. Nirdukhatvarengena. What's the anumanam? Is inference requires linga or evidence. What's the evidence? That we find this nirdukha Vamadeva. Therefore we infer that in the previous birth they must have carried out this prasankhyanam. Tika says, Kincha Sakrat Vijnana Vakyarthasya Vidhi Anabhyugame. Again, there is no Vidhi. Sakrat Vijnana Vakyarthasya. So he has listened to the Vakya and he has gained enlightenment without any Vidhi, without any injunction. Then, so Charya Naha Ashastra Samvedya Syat Anishtam Tathasati. Charya means dinacharya or achara. Paramahamsa ashrama achara. So that now he is Paramahamsa like Vamadeva. Paramahamsa means the sannyasi, the highest category, Vidvat sannyasi. And the achara that he has will go ashastra samvedya because he is doing it without any injunction. We say Vidvat sannyasa is by default, and therefore whatever achara is there, sarvasa vartamanopi sayogi mai vartade. He abides in me regardless of how he is found to conduct himself. That conduct of these people is without any vidhi. It is spontaneous. So spontaneous doesn't require any vidhi. It just happens by default, therefore you don't need to tell him. So thus the achara or the conduct of this Mahapurusha that we find is not a result of normally brahmachari, grihastha, vanapastha, sannyasi, all of them conduct themselves in keeping injunction of the Shastra. That grihastha should do this, vanapastha should do that, sannyasi. But there are 4 chaturthashrami. One has taken sannyasa by vidhi. But here is one without sannyasa, without vidhi. That's what Vedantin says. The Vidvat sannyasa is sannyasa that takes place by default. That's not a good word. It takes place as a consequence of the knowledge. And therefore, he acts spontaneously, not because he's told to be good, but he's spontaneously good. Elsewhere, Grihastha, all of them required to be told Satyam Vada Dharmam Chana, etc. Then when they talk Satya and Dharma, the Acharan, then it is meaningful. This one speaks truth anyway and follows righteousness anyway without being told. So if you do something without being told, it doesn't bear any result. So Vidhi Anabhyugame, that now this Paramahamsa is conducting himself in whatever way he does, because there are various kinds, including Dattatreya and so forth, Avadhuta, and they just, from our standpoint, they even sometimes transgress the dharma. The way they then the way what they eat and where they eat, and so that may contradict what is the norm in the society. Sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. For a sannyasi like that, Lord Krishna says, however he conducts himself, he still is in me, abiding in me. But according to these people, everything should be a result of vidhi. So sannyasa is a chaturthashrami, also vaidha sannyasa means sannyasa, a result of vidhi. Then he must conduct. So sannyasi also has duties to perform. So japa and things, he has to do that. Then is shastra vihita. But this person is, you say that he is free without, just by listening, by shravanam, and then he conducts himself in a way which may not be even conventional. Shastra vihita nasyad, then his conduct is not in response to the vidhanam, the injunction of the Shastra, the Vedas. All right, so what? Anishtam tathasati syat. Tathasati anishtam syat. Then what happens? Yati ashrama parityage. Normally, a sannyasi, if he gives a sannyasa, or Puja Swami says, the sannyasasya sannyasa. Sometimes people are found to do that they give up sannyasa ashram and go back to grihastha ashram or something else. They've given up sannyasa. There are several cases. For whatever reason. It's called Arudha Patitaha. He is fallen, crestfallen from his status. So if his achara was result of a vidhi, then if he does not follow achara, then he has, fallen from his status. But this fellow did not do achara to begin with by vidhi, so if he doesn't do it, then also he can't be called Arudha Patita. So if your Paramahamsa, if he gives up the sannyasa, and conducts himself in an asannyasi way, then also there is no fault. Because what he was doing was not in keeping with any injunction, he is not violating any rules. Normally a person should conduct himself or herself in keeping his rules, including a sannyasi according to them. There is no such thing as jivan mukta for them. Sannyasa also is Vaida sannyasa, meaning sannyasa taken as a result of formality. Vidhi is there. In that case, you have to follow the rules and regulations. Some people give up sannyasa and they are condemned as Arudha Patitaha, they have fallen, so. But this fellow did that without vidhi, so you have fallen from your status provided you are doing something according to your status. This fellow has no status. Therefore, he won't be called Arudha Patita. Iti Anishta Prasanga, that is Anishta. He should be called Arudha Patita. He must be condemned, that's why he will be sent away. He won't. So, in the past, those people who violated these rules, they are all debarred from the whole system. And so they did not, the caste and everything was, snatched away from them, and nobody will conduct any vyavahara with them. Nobody will give them roti beti, roti beti sambandha. They do eat their homes and they eat, and that is not allowed. Beti, you can't give your daughter to them, and vice versa. That's the whole host of this, in India, because of the result of caste system. It is not because of caste system, because of the mismanagement of caste system. Any system always needs reforms. And because the society is changing, and therefore no structure can ever apply all the time. The structure must also be flexible and respond to the present situation. The democracy also, there is constitution, which is the Vidhanam now. That is our new Smriti. But even though the constitution was created by wise people, the founding fathers they call them, then also as the time changes you find that it's not able to cover all the cases. Like Paniniya grammar is great, but it cannot cover everything. So there are a lot of, in Paniniya grammar, lots of exceptions are there. There are more exceptions than rules, but every rule has exceptions. Because no rule can cover everything. So the constitution also cannot, therefore as the time goes, amendments come. That's why reforming. So they themselves sit down and realize, this will need to amend the constitution. Similarly, even any system like the Varnashrama Vyavastha, the amendments have to come. That's why great people must come, and then the reforming has to take place. Doesn't take place, becomes a very rigid structure. And everybody cannot conform to those rules. So you debar them, or you modify the rules. Either you accommodate them and modify the rules. That's the way to do. Kept the rules the same, and you condemn them. Anyway, but that is Arudha Padita. He should be condemned because he was supposed to follow certain rules, he does not follow. But now that since his conduct is not in keeping the rules, there are no rules, therefore you can't condemn him. So Arudha Patita na bhaved. You cannot say that he has violated the rules and therefore he doesn't belong to the system now. You can't do that. Anishta prasanga. See, this is orthodoxy. Orthodox means that you go back to that thing and do not reform things to take into account the present situation. After all, the creation society is dynamic. It's never rigid. There are no rules that can cover all the time and all place and all conditions. You should have therefore the broad-mindedness, compassion. That's how you should treat. Not, right away you curse him, you'll become a pig and you'll become this. This is the kind of stuff going on there. Intolerance. The moment you violated, I came and you did not respect me, become a pig, become something, And I shouldn't talk about that here, but the thing is that this kind of intolerance creates lots of hurt in many, many people. And so we have Dalita, so the whole class, which is now bigger than this, the regular fellows. Anyway, but that should happen. Arudha Patitattvam should happen, and will not happen because there is no Arudhatvam, so there is no Patitattvam. Okay, so continuing. Now this is my problem, but anyway, so Kastari prasankhyan vidipakshe siddha brahmopadeshasya artha syaditi. So now that you established that prasankhyanam must be there, some karma must be there. And that you should imagine, or in kalpana, you must imagine a vidhi. Although, even though it is not explicitly stated, he has shown all the justification of how the vidhi must be imagined to be there. For that he gave all these various arguments. Alright, so we accept, suppose. Siddha Brahmopadeshasya arthasyat. Here the point is that this Tattvamasi Siddha Brahmopadesha. Siddha Brahman is already my nature. If something had to be changed, if I had to become Brahma, then of course karma would be there, vidhi would be there. Siddha Brahma. Siddha means already existing as myself. So Upadesha, that is the difference here. Upadesha arthasyat. So then how we interpret this Upadesha Tattvamasi, which only teaches what you are, that Tat you are. If something is an existing fact. In response, the verse says 17. Sadasiti phalam choktva videyam sadhanam yatah tadanyat prasankhyanat prasiddharthamiheshyate. Sat asiti phalam cha uktva videyam sadhanam yatah tat anyat prasankhyanat tat anyat prasankhyanat anyat na prasiddhartham. There is no prasiddhartham other than this. Iha ishyare. Prasiddhartham means what? Siddha means already existing. Atma already exists as Brahman, he is just being told that you are Brahman. So there also, how to somehow bring in vidhi there? So again it goes back to the traditional karmakanda. So sadasi the phalam chavuktva videyam sad. So that the point is, in karmakanda or in our life also, phalam muktva. First of all, you tell them the benefit. Swarga kamaha agnishtobena yajeta. So before you enjoin anything or ask him to do something, you should tell what's the benefit of doing that thing. This is the Vedic system. That nobody will do something unless there is some prayojanam. Some personal gain must be there, then only anybody will do anything. So before you tell him do this is what you will get if you do this. And therefore, the Upadesha, Sadasi the phalam chavuktva verse says that you are Brahman is the phalam. So they give the phalam swarga kama and give the vidhi yajeta. Here also, tattvamasi, sadasi, this is the phalam. That if you do the prasankhyanam, then the phalam will be that you will be Brahma. So because the karmakanda style is that first the phalam is stated, then the vidhi is stated. Swarga is the phalam and agnishtoma is the karma. So here even if you do not find vidhi or karma, the tattvamasi is phalam, is first stated. Sadasi iti cha phalam cha uktva. So Upanishad says you are Brahman, that's the result. Videyam sadhan, therefore sadhanam must follow. Sadhya comes first and sadhanam comes later. So Swarga is sadhyam and Agnishtoma is sadhanam. So Tattvamasi is sadhyam, so sadhanam must follow. Even if you don't see that, you should imagine it is there. Because Aham Brahmasmi phalam. So what is the result? So what is it that creates the result? So you must imagine some sadhanam, some vidhi. Because That is what we find in the Vedas, where everywhere, like Swarga Kamo Yajeda, the sadhya, the phalam, Swarga is first aided, then Agnistomena, because otherwise they won't listen to you. People will listen, respond to you, provided first they know what is to be gained. Follow Agnistoma. Why? So you will gain Swarga if you gain. Then he will listen to you with interest. Then Agnistoma will perform. This is a Vedic way, Then Vedantin or Bhagavad Gita and then that karma, that kartavya is converted to karma yoga is a different thing. There can be something like nishkama karma also. Karmana baddhate jantuhu vidyacha. The karmana baddhate jantuhu, that a jantu or a jivatma always gets bound by karma. That's not right. Lord Krishna says, not karma that binds you, it is the phalasakti that binds you. So don't give up karma for giving up bondage. He wants to give up karma because karma binds, and no. It is the phalasakti, therefore, ma phaleshu kadāna. This is revolution. This is a very big thing, that same karmas are there, but the whole attitude. Anyway, so vidheyam sadhanam yatha, because having told the result, tattvamasi, now is the time to sadhanam. Then what sadhanam must be imagined? Kalpaniyam must be imagined. Prasankhyanat tadanyat nasyat. What sadhan can be there? So Ekadeshi says, prasankhyanam is a sadhanam. Because this is the style. They first tell you result, then they tell you what to do to gain the result. So here they tell you are Brahman, so they must tell what you should do to gain the result. That even though it is not explicitly stated, you must imagine prasankhyanam, that action. So tat prasankhyanat anyam nasyat. That sadhanam means karma in this case. That can be only prasankhyanam, nothing else. Prasiddhartham ihaishyate, because it is prasiddhartha. You are already Brahman, therefore only thing that will fit in there is prasankhyanam. Because you don't have to become Brahma. Therefore prasankhyanam is not karma that creates something. It creates knowledge, all right, but doesn't create any physical thing. So Tika says, Tvam Sad Brahma Siti Vartamano, this is called Vartamana Upadesha. Upadesha of what is already Vartamana, what is already existing. That Sad Asi. Asi is what you are, is a verb of being, not a verb of becoming. A verb always involves an action. Kriya Padam it is called. So a verb means Kriya Padam already presupposes Kriya. But Asi is such a Kriya Pada that does not involve any karma. So this Asi and Bhavati etc., they don't involve any kind of Kriya. Sun shines. Even though shine is a verb, doesn't involve any Kriya on the part of sun, it's a nature. So these are the verbs that reveal the nature of thing rather than some action. So Dasi, you are Sat. Iti Vartamana Upadesha. This is called Vartamana Upadesha. Vartamanasya Upadesha. Upadesha, what is already there, Siddha, call it Vartamana, call it Siddha, already existing. Phalam, Idam. So this phala is stated. So why is the phala stated? Sadhana Vidhanartham. The Swarga is the phala. He stated why? For enjoining sadhanam, Agnistoma. This is what is in Karma Kanda. So Tattva is looked upon as phala. And phala can be there only when the sadhanam is there. Phala is sadhya. Sadhanam means must be there, and that must be prasankhyanam. Tika continues, yataha, so yataha, sadhanam yataha. In the verse, yata yasmat sarvatra phalmuktva sadhanam vidheyam. Everywhere in the Vedas we find that sarvatra phalmuktva, the first state, what the phala is, what the sadhya is. Sadhana Vidya, everywhere we find this style, that first they tell you what sadhya is and then they enjoin what the sadhana is. So how we should construe this sentence? Sadasi says, Ataha Brahmat, so Swarga Kamo Yajeta. So Brahmatmai Kama Yajeta Prasang Chakshita iti. So this is how you should construe the sentence. Brahmatmai Kama. So you are teaching that you are Brahman. So, but then result, action is always performed based on some desire. Arthi samartha. Arthi means one who is interested in the result. Otherwise you can't perform karma. So they cannot imagine karma which is without any kama. So Brahmatmaiki kama, Swarga kamo yede, Brahmatmaiki kama. In this case, one who desire of Brahmatmaikya, prasam chakshita, then becomes vidhi. Then he must perform prasankhyanam. Prasankhyanam kurveta, must perform prasankhyanam. It is sarthako vidhi bhavet. That is how we should construe the sentence, and therefore the vidhi becomes meaningful, sarthaka. Because that's how it should be. Alright. So why do you think that? Now, what the sadhana means, what the karma is also they imagine. So we ask them, why do you think that prasankhyanam kimide vidhiyate? So why do you think that the prasankhyanam is something enjoyed and not something else? Jyotishtomadi kasmat brahmavana vidhiyate. So for Brahma Bhavanam is there, becoming Brahma, for you should do something. Why do you think it's prasankhya? Why not Agnihotradi karma? Why not Jyotishtomadi karma, which will make you, Brahma? Therefore says, na tadanyat. Next line, second line of the verse, na tadanyat prasankhyanad. Prasankhanad anyat iha vedantesu prasiddhartham siddharth abhivyajana samartham sadhanam nat yat tannaishate. So what is prasiddhartham? Prasiddha means already existing. Siddharth abhivyajana samartham sadhanam. Well, Brahman is already an existing fact. All that is needed to be done is reveal that fact. Even though Brahman is my nature, is a fact about me, I do not know that. That fact is revealed to me. Siddhartha abhivyanjana samartham. Siddhartha, Brahman, I already am. Abhivyanjana, something that will reveal that my Brahmanness. Something that reveals that I am Brahman. What is capable? Prasankhyanam alone is capable of doing that. Agnihotradi is only for Antakarana Shuddhi. But what is it that will reveal that I am Brahman? So Prasiddha, the already existing fact, only Prasankhyanam can do that. In Vedanta we do not find anything else like Jyotishtomadi which are capable of revealing the nature of yourself. Jyotishtomadi Vyanjakatva Samarthya Abhavad. Jyotishtomadi can produce a result and at the most can produce Antakarana Shuddhi. But Jyotishtomadi is never seen to produce knowledge. So karma is all right, but not Jyotishtomadi karma, Prasankhyanam karma. Purva Paksha Upasamharati. So now he concludes his Purva Paksha or Ekadeshi Paksha. Verse 18. Tasmadanubhavayaiva prasam chakshita yatnatah tejan sadhana tatsadhya viruddham shamanadiman. Tasmad anubhavaya eva yatnada prasam chakshita. Anubhavaya aparoksha anubhavaya. Therefore, for aparoksha anubhava, for aparoksha jnanam, for immediate knowledge, yatnataha prasam chakshita, therefore prasankhanam kuryat. Therefore, yatna, but that requires yatna. Any action requires yatna. Therefore, after Shravanam, then you must do the yatna, the effort of prasankhyanam, which involves repeating the vakya and applying the reasoning. So yatna, this is what, that is how sadasi. So tvam sadasi or tvam brahma asi, that vakya should be understood as, in order for that vakya to create knowledge and pratyaksha anubhava or aparoksha anubhava, yatnada prasam chakshita brahmatmaikya kamaha prasam chakshita iti. The one who is desirous of brahmatmaikya, he should do this repetition. Yatna, this is the conclusion. So after all argument, that is what they have established. Then Tika says, Kim kurvan. So this prasankhyanam, action is always accompanied with some other conditions. So what is the condition required for performing the act of prasankhyanam? It's a mental act. So second line of the verse is, Tyajan sadhana tat sadhya viruddham. Tyajan. Kim kurvan? Doing what? Tyajan, while renouncing, while giving up. Sadhana tat sadhya viruddham. Anything that is opposed to this sadhya, which is brahmatmaikya, all that sadhana must be given up. Give all the sadhanam, give everything in your life which is opposed to the brahmatmaikya. So they also talk about the karma sannyasa. So the Tika says, sadhana tat sadhya viruddham tyajan. That's the vakya from the verse. Sadhana tat sadhya viruddham tyajan. Giving up something viruddha, which is contradictory to the sadhya. Give that sadhya which is sadhanam which gives the contradict to sadhya. That's how sadhana tat sadhya viruddham. Sadhya viruddham tat sadhanam tyajan. Give the sadhanam, what is karma? So now give up all the karma which are opposed to the sadhanam or brahmatmaikya. Sadhanam, prasankhyanam, tat sadhyam, tat phalam, atmaikya sakshatkara, tad viruddham. So whatever is opposed to sadhanam, sadhyam, atmaikatvam or atmaikya sakshatkara, and sadhanam in this case prasankhyanam, otherwise all other sadhanas have to be given up, tad viruddham karma nishthatvam. You are engaging in your karma, the kartavya will not allow you to do prasankhyanam. For that, even meditation also, or for the repetition of mind, you need a mind which enjoys a leisure and they have a freedom from all other engagements. Therefore, karma nishtadha, you must give up all your duties. Karma must be given up and apply yourself to this prasankhyanam, which is conducive to revealing the identity or revealing your nature as Brahma. So karma must be there, then only the result can be there. Shamadadiman says Shamanadi, means Shamadhiman. Shamanam is Shamaha. So for the purpose of Chanda, instead of Shamadhiman, the teacher says Shamanadiman. So Shamanam and Shamadhiman. So Adipadat, Uparamau, Ityadya, Adipadat, Damo Paramau, iti, Shama, Dama, Uparama. These are the basic things required. This Shraddha, Tidiksha, etc. are different, they are accompanying things. State of mind is described as Shama, Dama, Uparama. And Shraddha is an attitude, Titiksha is the thing, etc. But then what you need to do is Shama, Dama, Uparama. as far as overcoming internal obstacles are concerned. Titiksha is required to overcome the external obstacles, external disturbances. Shraddha also is required for the obstacle in the intellect, which may not have Shraddha. So what is required to be Shama, Dama, Uparama? Shama, tranquility of mind. Dama, the discipline of sense organs. Uparama, therefore, the inner tranquility. So there was Shamadhiman, meaning that while you are doing this prasankyanam, it should be accompanied with Shama, Dama, Uparama, which are conducive to that prasankyanam, act of prasankyanam. Agnistomadi or Jyotistomadi karma is not conducive to that because they will only create disturbance. So this much you should do. Shamadhiman, possessor of Shama, Dama, etc. Uparama. Samadhi yuktasya sanityartaha. So the act of prasankyanam should be carried out in accompaniment with the implementation of Shama, Dama, Uparama. So this is the Purva Paksha. Then Siddhanta will start. We'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Hari Om.